All right, let's get started. Go ahead and come to your yoga mat if you're not there already. We'll start laying down. So, making your way to a comfortable position. And maybe that's Shavasana, corpse pose, arms and legs extending. Or perhaps finding that nice constructive rest pose with your feet standing up near the edges of your mat, and maybe those knees coming together at the center. Feel free to get a little creative here, maybe interlacing your fingers and resting your head in your hands, or anything else that seems interesting and restful for you. When you arrive, maybe taking a clearing breath or two or three, just a couple of sighs. Maybe making a little bit of sound if you'd like. Just kind of releasing anything that feels like moving here in whatever time it is for you of day. And it's always a good idea to kind of clear out the mental clutter from the day and kind of make space for however it is that you do want to feel, or whatever it is, the reason that you come to yoga. Is it for a feeling? Is it for a physical sensation? What is it exactly that keeps you coming back to class? Just go ahead and consider that for a few moments as you continue to settle in. And maybe using that, whatever you found there, maybe that can be your intention today. Maybe that can help guide your practice. As always, you're welcome to kick things up a little extra or take things a little slower. You're always welcome to just stay right here and breathe and rest. It's your time to practice whatever that looks like for you today. So, doing a little check in with your physical body. How are things currently? How's your body feeling? Just kind of scanning your awareness throughout in no particular order. Just seeing what feels interesting to you. Checking in with the physical body here. And then checking in with your energy level currently. Just kind of reflecting on your day. How much energy have you had to exert? How much energy do you still have in your tank today, in this moment? And then emotionally, just kind of scanning through. Do you have any emotions that are coming to the surface that you can identify? Maybe one or two or three? And letting these inquiries help to guide your practice again here too. Knowing that if your energy tank is on reserves and you're going off of just fumes, you can really just stay and rest if you'd like. Finding your breath here. See if you can breathe just through your nose in this moment. And if possible, we'll find our proper oral posture, as it's called, by sealing your lips, but softening your jaw, and then creating just a tiny, tiny hint of space between the biting surfaces of your teeth. So, such a small amount of space that if you were to hum, maybe your teeth would even kind of vibrate together. And then gently press the tip of your tongue up just behind your teeth onto that palate area, and the rest of your tongue also pressing up just gently, just using a small amount of effort there. And then imagining or sensing that your nasal passageways are becoming clearer and wider so that breathing gets a little easier. And drawing that air in through the nostrils all the way down to the lowest parts of your lungs. Find a couple of rounds of diaphragmatic breathing, really letting your belly expand, your rib cage widen with those inhales. And softening everything else with your exhales. Soften your shoulders, soften your face. Just breathing a few rounds like that, these diaphragmatic breaths. Sometimes when life is chaotic or challenging, just finding a little moment of reprieve with a couple of breaths can just be so helpful. So just giving yourself a little break here, just for now. All the very real challenges of life are still definitely being acknowledged here. We're just taking a few moments with this diaphragmatic breathing to get a little rest. Just recharging a little bit so that you can be with whatever is true in your life right now with as much grace as you can. Just a couple more breaths. Unless you're choosing to stay here, again, totally fine. Let's take 3 clearing breaths now together. Inhaling through your nose. Open mouth, exhale with a sigh. 2 more like that in your own timing now. And then beginning to wiggle fingers and toes. Then start to rotate or circle your ankles and wrists a couple of times both ways. Pointing and flexing the ankles and the toes, maybe scrunching up your hands into little fists and then opening them up. Just getting some motion here going through the hands and feet, ankles and wrists. And then we'll go for a long body stretch here, reaching the arms and legs long in opposite directions, reaching and stretching. Good, good. And then, as if you're just moving in sleep here, start to roll over onto your right side. You can even keep your eyes closed if you like. And then reach that right arm out. Stretch that right arm straight out to the right side, just setting the back of your arm there on the ground. You could get a little pillow if you want, or just kind of let your head hang here for a couple moments. We'll stack that left hand on top of the right hand, and then reach your left hand, your left fingers farther than your right fingers, so you're really feeling an opening and maybe even a little stretch between your shoulder blades. This is our what's called protraction of the shoulder blades. And when you're ready, drag the left hand across your right palm, across your right arm, across your collarbones, and whatever feels like all the way open to you. Stretching out that left arm. Your hand might touch the floor on the left side, or maybe you just keep it lifted. Feeling this nice open arm twist here for a moment. Notice how your shoulder blades now are quite close together. That's our retracted state. So we're going from protraction to retraction. And this is a nice way to kind of pattern your shoulder movements. Some consider this kind of like a nerve floss. Just kind of gets things moving in the right direction. And then we'll close it back up, bending that left elbow, bringing your left fingertips to your left shoulder, and then sliding your hand across the collarbones and all the way back down till your hands stack again. Each time we'll start by reaching the left fingertips farther than the right, and then retracting, pulling that left hand across the arm and collarbones, finding that all the way open position. Now, if that feels really nice to you, just go ahead and keep opening and closing like so. If you want to try a kind of variation on this, I'm not sure what to call it, maybe like a clock variation, we can keep that left arm straight and just kind of slide it up overhead and keep like it's, hand on the clock going the wrong direction. We're just gonna keep dragging the fingertips on the floor or close by until your hands stack again. If you want to open up that way as well, you can give it a try, pulling or reaching that left hand up and overhead, and then all the way around till you get to that open position. Be gentle. And continue now to move at your own pace, experimenting as you will. You can open and close in either of those ways, or even try to make up maybe your own way. You can see what's here for you today, just noticing that protraction and retraction of the shoulder blades. It's quite interesting, I think, once you notice what's going on. And let it feel kind of sleepy. No need to worry too much about your form, just so long as you're not feeling any pain or sharpness. And then next time your arms are out wide, go ahead and just stay there for a few moments in this open arm twist. Okay. And then we'll switch sides. So just turning onto your back first and then making your way onto your left side. You can close that right hand up on top of your left hand so the left arm just reaches straight out to the left side, right hand on top. You know what's up here. We're going to reach those right fingertips farther than the left fingertips, finding that nice stretch between the shoulder blades. You can even kind of lean into it or kind of push your upper back away from the arms. And then go ahead and retract. Pull that right hand across your left arm, across your collarbones, and whatever feels like all the way open on this side. Then the first time through, just kind of rest here with the open arm twist. Notice all there is to notice here if you're willing. And eventually closing it back up, bending your right elbow, bringing your right fingertips to your right shoulder, and then sliding across the collarbones and all the way back down. You might continue to do that a couple times or start taking that kind of clock variation, this time that right hand sliding up and overhead, keeping the fingertips close to the floor, opening it all the way back up so the arms are out wide to a T shape. You can mix and match, maybe closing it up one way and opening up a different way. Go ahead now and just keep exploring a few rounds of this nice shoulder mover and opener. And I always like to mention that this movement is borrowed from the Feldenkrais method, which is a really interesting movement modality. Again, just kind of working to program those shoulder blades for nice healthy movement. And then next time your arms are out wide, go ahead and just pause there in this nice twist. One more breath in and out here. And then turn onto your back. So we're just going to slide the pelvis to the center of your mat. And then go ahead and hug your knees in toward your chest. And just take a little bit of free movement here, rocking some weight around the low part of the back, the sacrum. So we're just kind of moving those knees around. Maybe they're moving together in some circles. Maybe they move independently at some point. Just go ahead and keep moving freely, targeting that very low part of the spine. Pelvis kind of feels like it's just right around that, kind of like the rim. All right. And then we'll come on up to a seat, either rocking and rolling a couple times up and down the spine if that feels good to you, or turning onto either side and then pressing your way up. As you arrive in your seat, let's tent the fingertips up on either side and just letting that be kind of like a prop for you. So you're propping yourself up, lengthening upwards through the crown of your head, pulling those shoulder blades back behind you a little bit, and then taking about a half tuck of your chin. So you're lengthening the back of your neck. It doesn't even look like you're really tucking your chin. It's just a very subtle move to lengthen the back of the neck. All right. Just closing your eyes for a moment if that feels okay, just to feel this alignment from the inside. Try to discern if you're using, quote, the right amount of effort here. If it feels like you're straining, maybe giving yourself a little bit more softness. If you're feeling kind of hunched over or slumped over, maybe using a little more effort to sit up nice and tall. And then with an inhale, let's reach those arms around and up, joining the hands overhead. And then exhale to lower your hands down to heart center. Inhale, reach those hands right back up. And exhale, lowering them around and down. Good. Just follow your breath here. Let's do that a few times. When your inhale comes, just lifting up. Whenever your exhale hits next, reaching or lowering those hands down to heart center. You know the drill now. We're always inhaling as we lift and exhaling as we lower. Go ahead and take one more round through, really finding your breath. Whenever your hands come back to the floor, let's keep the right hand on the floor or close by. Inhale and bring that left arm up and overhead. And then exhale, side bend toward the right. With your inhale, rise back up. We'll lift both hands high. And then exhale, side bend to the left. That left hand finds the floor. The right arm starts reaching. Let's continue back and forth a couple times. Inhale to come up to the center. And then exhale, side bending to the right. Continue at your own pace here, inhaling to rise. And exhaling to side bend. Let's do about one more on each side. Keep following your own pace. Once you're done with that left side, let's inhale to come up to the center, and then exhale to lower your hands down. You might have your hands on your knees or on your shins or just wherever it feels good. Let's give the neck a little bit of love here. So just letting your right ear sink toward your right shoulder. You could kind of swirl that left hand around like like you're checking the temperature of some bath water, just kind of swirling that left hand around. And just notice when you do that, kind of gets some different angles of stretching here happening through that left side of your neck, maybe a little bit through your shoulder. Maybe you want to pretend you are, I don't know, casting some kind of spell or touching some nice texture, swaying your hands over a field of flowers, or what else do you think? And then letting your chin come down toward the center of your chest, lowering those shoulders down your back, noticing the back of your neck. And whenever you're ready, then left ear will roll toward that left shoulder, and maybe swirling that right hand around, finding a little visualization if you want. Ooh, I kind of like the thought of like the fingers just kind of gliding across the surface of a lake. Kind of fun. All right. Again, we're focusing on that right side of the neck, though, not just on your visualization. I was getting a little lost there in my visualization. Okay. When you're ready, let that hand come back to your knee, and a few times through, letting your chin dip down to center, and then rock over to the other side. This time it can be a little more fluid. Just continuing to rock side to side a couple of times. And since we started on the right, we'll make sure to end somewhere near the left, and then come back up to center when you're ready. Let's go ahead and move to hands and knees next, so sweeping those legs around and back. If you have blocks, go ahead and bring them close by. We will use them in not too long. As always, you could use your blocks for cat and cow actually here too. Your hands could come up on blocks. So blocks or not, either way. Hands will be spread out, or fingertips spread out. With your inhale, start to lower your belly, lift your tailbone and your gaze, finding cow pose. And then exhale to round your spine, tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, really articulating through the whole spine here. Press your hands down into the floor so you find that protraction position, lots of space between the shoulder blades. With your inhale, lowering your belly, lifting your gaze, kind of coming into that retracted shoulder blade state with your shoulder blades kind of close together. Go ahead and do that a few times, inhaling to cow, and exhaling to cat. And as you exhale up to cat, you're just kind of pressing the air out of the lungs, kind of squeezing that navel in. Inhale, cow, lots of space there for the lungs. Really see where the end of your exhale is. Sometimes we breathe kind of shallow and we're just using like the top part, what I consider the top part of the lungs, like just the topping off part of the lungs. See about how far your exhale can go. I'm gonna give you the navel just like a little more squeeze and see if there's even just a tiny puff left of air. Okay, we're gonna move along here. We're gonna go ahead and grab those blocks. We'll bring them underneath the hands. If you need a little break off of your hands or wrists, you can always stand up on your knees and just rotate the wrists or give them a little shake here for a moment. And then we'll straighten that right leg and plant the right leg off to the right side. I'll come to the center here so you can see. So that right hand or that right leg is just straight out to the right side, foot making contact with the floor if possible for you. And then just go ahead and rock back and forth a couple of times, kind of pulling your seat back a little bit and then forward a little bit. Just feeling if you can feel that nice line, that nice stretch through the inner thigh here, maybe the groin a little bit. This is one of my favorites lately. Just feels so good. We're going to add on a little thoracic mobility. That's like the mid back. Thoracic. So go ahead. We're going to keep that right foot out. As if we're not going to actually thread the needle in this position, but we're kind of doing that same motion. So we're going to lift that right hand up, kind of push your left hip forward as you reach your right hand high. You might circle out that right wrist a couple times, just giving it some extra love. With your exhale, we're going to dip and twist. So that right hand comes down and through, and just keep trying to reach over as far as you can here, finding a little bit of a twist. And then with your inhale, open that right arm way back up toward the sky. We're going to do that a few times. With your exhale, we're dipping and twisting. With your inhale, we're opening back up toward the sky. Just notice where else you're feeling things happening. Can you still feel a little bit of stretch through that inner thigh? Is any part of you needing a little extra tending to? Okay. One more time, we'll reach high. And then with an exhale, bringing your hand down to the block, go ahead and bring your right knee back in. So we're in our block tabletop. We'll straighten that left leg out toward the left side, planting that foot on the floor if it'll go that way. And just pulling those hips back a little bit until you feel a stretch through that inner left thigh now. And then forward. We're just kind of playing around with where we're feeling this stretch. Reaching back a little bit and coming forward a little bit. All right. And then we'll add on our thoracic mobility here. So now the left arm starts to reach high. We're kind of pushing that right hip forward a little bit. Go ahead and circle that left wrist a couple times both ways. It can feel nice to have the fingertips spread out nice and wide, and also bringing your hand into a fist for a couple circles too. Take a breath in here. With your exhale, let's dip and twist that left hand, threading down, reaching over toward the right side here. And when you're in this position, just noticing that left inner thigh as well. Inhale, reach it back up, upward twist. Exhale, dip and twist, lowering that left arm, reaching through. A couple times through, using your inhale to lift, using your exhales to twist. And the next time that right or that left arm is high, let's just stay there. And then with your exhale, bringing your hand back down to the blocks, left knee comes in. Let's find our way to extended child's pose. Knees come out wide, and then start to sink your seat toward your heels. You don't have to go too far, just finding that sweet spot. Maybe coming down to your forearms. Maybe walking your hands out toward the top of your mat and then sinking your head and heart toward the floor. Make sure that your knees and your legs are kind of wide enough so you have lots of space for diaphragmatic breathing, lots of space for the belly to expand with your inhales. And soften with your exhales. We are not trying to be small here. Let's let that belly just really go with the inhales. Lots of space. No shame. And exhaling as you soften. Consider your intention here if you set one earlier. And just reflect on that as you continue these diaphragmatic breaths. Good. Let's come on up to tabletop when you're ready. And then we'll bring the hands to our blocks. Let's find our first downward facing dog. The fingertips are spread out and engaged. We're gripping down into the blocks or the floor. Curl those toes under and start to lift up, reaching that tailbone high. Press your hands into your blocks. Reach through your shoulders so they're nice and engaged. Find your breath. And then if you like, maybe pedal out your legs, bending and straightening opposite knees. And at some point, reaching both of your heels toward the floor, finding stillness for another breath. And then bend your knees, look up toward your hands, and then step or walk your feet up toward the top of your mat for ragdoll forward fold. We're letting the upper back hang loose. We're letting those arms hang loose or grabbing opposite elbows. If you like a little bit of movement, maybe finding a bit of a sway. Or if you want stillness, of course, being still. Make sure your breath is still flowing here. If you've grabbed opposite elbows, let's switch the grip, releasing, and then bringing your other forearm on top. And maybe nodding your head yes and no a couple of times. And then bend your knees a bit here and walk your hands up your legs as you come to stand. When you get to the top, let's find a little bit of a shake. So just maybe lifting and lowering your heels a couple of times, maybe shaking the arms out, just kind of intuitively getting a nice little bounce, nice little shake going through the body. It can be a sporadic, chaotic shake, or maybe a nice, slow, kind of flowing shake. Bounce. All right. And then coming to the center. Let's take a look at the feet, make sure they're a comfortable distance from each other, feeling nice and stable there. Just flip your palms to face the front of your space, pulling those shoulder blades together a little bit behind you. Mountain pose. With your inhale, reach both arms up and overhead. With your exhale, swan dive, forward fold. We hinge at the hips here with a little bend of the knees, and then let your hands come down toward the floor or blocks. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, knees or thighs. Exhale, hands come down to the blocks. We're stepping the right foot back first, and then your left to your high plank. We're here for 2 breaths. If you want to amp it up, you could bend your right knee so your right foot ends up in the air, and then straighten back down to the floor a couple times, adding in a little bit of an extra strength element. And then lower your knees, move those blocks to the side, and lower your chest. We'll just do one baby cobra here today, pressing the tops of your feet down into the mat so much that your knees start to pop up. Those glutes are working, those thighs are engaged. Inhale, rise up to your baby cobra, head and chest lifting, using the strength of your muscles in your core and around the spine. Stay lifted here for your exhale. Let's have 2 more breaths. Inhale and exhale. Exerting a little more effort here. Inhale and exhale, lower down. Inhale, rise up, tabletop. Exhale to child's pose. Big breath in and out. One more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, rise up, tabletop. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath in. And last breath out. Walk your feet out wide toward the edges of your mat, and then bend your knees and look up toward the top of your mat. Walk your hands to the back of your mat, so end up in a little squat at the back. Heels can be lifted here, kind of like a frog-like squat. And we'll be here, just feeling into this little frog squat here. And with an inhale, straighten your legs, forward fold. Exhale here, folding. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, soften those knees. And inhale, reverse swan dive. So the arms go wide, hinging up through the hips, and then bringing hands together overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. 3 big breaths. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Let's take a clearing breath on this third round. In through the nose, all the way to the top. Pause when you get to the top for a second or two. And then open mouth, exhale, sigh it out. Go ahead and blink your eyes open. We're going to do a little balancing series here to get from the back of the mat to the top of the mat. So widening the feet out a little bit here. We're going to do our marching twist with the upper body moving. So first we'll bring all the weight to that right foot and start to find your one-legged mountain pose with your left knee lifting. Toes can always stay down or come back down anytime, or maybe lifting that left knee to about hip height. I like to have my hands at my heart here, but it's always up to you. Maybe your hands go out wide or hold on to something for support. Take a breath in. With your exhale, keep your lower body frozen in place as you twist just the upper body toward the left. With your inhale, come back to center. The slower you go, more likely you'll stay balancing. And then exhale, straighten your left leg, bringing your left heel to the floor. Step into that left foot as you continue breathing. With an inhale, let's bring that right knee up to one-legged mountain pose, whatever that looks like to you. With an exhale, twisting just the upper body toward the right. Inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, straighten that right leg, touch your right heel to the floor, and take as many more steps to get up to the top of your mat as you need. Let's flow through our little sequence one more time, just a little quicker. I'll try to do a little less cueing and a little more flowing. So with your inhale, reach arms high, upward salute. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come to the floor or block. Step that left foot back first and then your right. High plank. You can add things on if you want, maybe a bend of the knees. One last bend in, or breath in. And exhale, lower your knees, lower your chest. Inhale, baby cobra. Staying here for 3 breaths, we're exhaling. Inhale, option to lift your hands up off the floor if you want. Exhale. One last breath in. And exhale, lower down. Inhale, rise up, tabletop. Exhale, child's pose. 3 breaths at your own pace. With your next inhale, let's rise up to tabletop. And exhale to downward dog. Our last down dog of this class. For 3 breaths, we're inhaling, all the fingers engaged. And exhaling. Inhale as you pull up on the kneecaps, creating a little more space through the hamstrings. Exhale. Last breath in. Last breath out. Walk your feet out wide toward the edges of your mat. Bend your knees and look up toward your hands. With your exhale, walk your hands back to your little frog squat at the back of your mat. We'll take a couple of breaths here, just feeling into that little frog pose. Frog pose is actually something different, so I shouldn't say frog pose. Okay. Inhale here. Exhale, straighten your legs, finding your forward fold. Toe heeling your feet in a little bit if that feels better. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold one last time. Inhale, reverse swan dive. So bend your knees a little bit here. Reach the arms out wide. Hinge at the hips as you rise up. Hands join overhead. Exhale, hands come right back to heart center. Take a couple of breaths. And let's take a clearing breath together, inhaling through your nose, filling all the way up, and then pausing for a moment or two at the top. Let a little bit of tension build. And then open mouth exhale, sigh it out. Go ahead and open your eyes. We'll do that little balancing, marching twist again. So this time we'll start by bringing all the weight over to the left foot and finding one-legged mountain pose with your right knee lifting. Toes down or toes up. You make the call here. Take a breath in. With your exhale, twisting toward the right, just the upper body. Your hands could be out wide or at your heart, your call. Inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, straighten your right leg, step into that right foot here on the floor. Finding your breath, wait for the next inhale, and then lift that left knee up to one-legged mountain. Exhale, twisting to the left. Inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, straighten that left leg, touch your left heel down, step into the left foot, coming all the way up to the top of the mat. All right, let's come all the way down to the floor now. So making your way there how you prefer to. And we'll lower right down to your back. So you could go slow, pulling those knees in toward your chest as you arrive, or pulling your knees in as you arrive, and then taking some more of a nice, slow, free movement, massaging some pressure over your low back and sacrum, and letting those knees kind of sway. It feels so much better at the end of class, I feel like. It just feels so good. Okay. And then we'll turn this into happy baby. So reaching down for the inside or outside edges of your feet, or wrapping your fingers around your big toes, and then pulling those knees in toward your armpits. If you can't reach your feet, just go ahead and hold on behind your thighs or wherever you can reach. If you like a little movement exploration, maybe rocking side to side a little bit. For some people, that just does not feel good, so necessary to do that. If you don't want, you could just stay still. And then we'll bring the soles of the feet together. And then if you could reach, we can wrap the fingers or wrap the hands around your toes and just kind of hold in or pulling in. So we're kind of in like this butterfly, just like reclined butterfly-like position. And if you can't reach here, just see about what you can do. Maybe opening your knees out to the side with your feet on the floor. Just getting a little more of a stretch through the inner thighs, through the groin a little bit. One more breath in and out. And then releasing your feet to the floor. Let's find constructive rest pose. So our feet plant at the edges of the mat, knees bent, and then let your knees come together at the center. We're going to wrap the arms around ourselves with the right arm on top or closer to your face. So just grabbing opposite shoulders or upper arms or whatever you can reach here. We're going to find kind of like a rounding through the upper back. So shoulder blades are spread apart, nice and wide. And we're just going to find a little bit of a rock side to side. So just rocking over toward the right and then over to the left, seeing if you can get kind of a massaging pressure up between the shoulders. Sometimes there's just like a really good spot you could stay if you find a nice spot, or just continue a little bit of rocking side to side. When the time feels right, we'll switch the cross of the arms, so just opening the arms out wide. And then this time that left arm will come on top. So the left elbow is closer to the face, right arm is on the bottom. And we're holding opposite shoulders or whatever you reach again. And kind of hugging those shoulders forward. And then we'll rock a little bit side to side. Just through the upper body here. Getting some of that nice massaging pressure through the upper back. Some people love it, some people just don't feel it. So just seeing what's there. All right, arms can release. Go ahead and find any last poses, movements, or stretches that your body is wanting to explore. And then as soon as you're ready, finding your way to your final resting pose, which very well could be constructive rest or shavasana. Maybe taking another sigh or starting to elongate your exhale. And this will be kind of a free form shavasana today. I won't do a lot of talking. I will just mind the time, and we'll be here for just about 4 minutes. So just softening in, letting go of the need to hold yourself in any which way. Letting go of any specific prescribed breathing patterns. Seeing if you can gift yourself with a few moments of calm, of presence. And I will see you on the other side. And if you're start to notice that you're getting caught up in your thoughts, just see if counting your breaths or internally watching the rise and fall of the chest or belly as you breathe. Just finding some way to come back to this present moment of feeling and being. A little less thinking if you can. And please know that you are very welcome to just stay right here, keep resting as long as you'd like. And when you feel ready to move along, just reawakening your physical body in nice little tender ways, wiggling fingers and toes, maybe opening and closing your jaw, swallowing or yawning. You might reach long for another long body stretch here. And eventually choose a side and roll over into the fetal position. Just kind of stay planted there for at least one more round of breath. No hurry. And eventually pressing your way back up to a comfortable seat. Joining hands in front of heart center. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and be free. And may our thoughts, words, and actions somehow contribute to that happiness and freedom for all beings. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Together, let's bring thumbs up to third eye center. And in a little gesture of gratitude, we'll take a little bow forward together now. Peace. All right, thank you so much for choosing to practice today. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope to see you again soon. Take care.